Let's go. Here we go.
And we're rolling on in.
We're off.
Hello, 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 hello.
Welcome, Tuesday people.
It's good to see all your faces.
Hello.
Okay, welcome everybody to the Sid City Social Club for Tuesday, November 2nd already. If you're in the US, it's election day. Don't forget, local elections are important. So if your polls are still open, we will be here. Go, come back. And with that, I'm going to throw it to Sid.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hi, everyone. So I have been, one of the things I've been doing over this last few months, while we're in quarantine and whatnot and all that stuff, is I've been getting to know YouTube really well. Something I really had never done in my life. I had never really surfed YouTube, and I'm just shocked at just how comprehensive a resource it is. You can learn how to bend wood and, you know, plant a garden and dairy farm, or, you know, in the space of a couple of weekends if you want to. But one of the things I would do is go on a kind of musical surf every now and then. And I found one particular song, and a real exercise in vulnerability from a rock star. I wanted to mention that because it's sometimes the secret to meaning is hidden in plain sight. Good, let's get cracking.
All right, we're gonna go talk to Anya, who some of you may recognize from the Halloween party. She was part of the Improv story, dressed as Esri Dex.
Hi.
Hi, Anya. I absolutely remember you from our Improv story. I don't really remember whether our story was amazing or not.
I don't know, but it definitely made fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. It was the first time doing improv, and I was really nervous because English is not my mother tongue, and I was like,
you did
yeah.
good. You did really terrific, really well done. It was really good. I'm just not sure the story was entirely cohesive, but hey, that's cool. That's just fine. I've done improvisation a couple of times in my life, and I did a play. I guess it was a kind of TV, a mini movie in mini story in TV, a 10-minute, 12-minute, whatever it was, little short, and as a bunch of shorts for the BBC once. And the director gave us just a piece of paper, and I did it with this amazing actor called Jane Horrocks. I don't know if you've seen Absolutely Fabulous, the TV series. At the moment, I've got just it's a ridiculous TV series from England with Joanna Lumley. You know, it's one of those. It's mad, and Jane Horrocks is in it, and she's amazing, wonderful British actress. And what we got was just a page of text. And the page said, they meet in a cafe, they go for a walk, they fall in love, you know. And we had to then figure out what we would say. And we couldn't leave it to the minute the camera started rolling because it would take so long. So anybody who's listening is in the social club right now who is interested in drama and especially in the idea that maybe one day you'll improvise, prepare. Prepare for your improvisation. It will help. Oh, well, there's a picture right there. That was us. Yeah, that was during that show. So that's Jane Horrocks, the amazing Jane Horrocks, who is minuscule. I'm sure she's wearing high heels in that photo. She's one of the tiniest human beings I've ever seen, and adorable. But yeah, we made up all the lines as we went along, and it's kind of scary. So I completely understand how you felt. So what's going on in your life? What are you up to?
Well, my semester just started for university 2 weeks ago, and I'm starting to work again because the COVID restrictions are slowly being lifted in Germany. So it's finally something happening again.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But I still have to study from home because we are too many. For example, in my criminology class, we are 1,000 students. So
wow.
Yeah, we're the biggest law faculty in Germany. So that's a lot of people.
Wow. What is criminology? It may be a dumb question, but a lot of people might not know.
I just had 2 classes, so I'm not an expert on it yet, but it's generally how crime starts, what are the reasons for crime, and it doesn't really look on crime from a perspective of a lawyer or something, more like a social point of view.
Yeah.
But it's important, we have to take this class, for example, to show us other fields of law than we would normally learn in class. For example, we also have to take history classes, for example, how these laws came to be. For example, I took the last 2 semesters Rome law, from the early beginnings to when the Roman Empire fell. Yeah, it's quite interesting.
It is. And is being a lawyer something you'd like to do, or are you doing this for something else?
No, I wanted to be a lawyer since I was in kindergarten. So
That's
I worked
fantastic.
the whole time I was in school, I worked to have my grades good enough to be accepted to study law, because there are certain restrictions. For example, the semester I started, it was by 2.5 after the Abitur. It's like similar to the A-levels or a college degree before you can start studying at university. And I was at 1.9, so that was happily not a problem.
Right, I see. And is it similar to the British system? Do you have to, or what's the system? Because in Britain, I kind of know now because my wife's a lawyer, and she has sat the bar now 3 times because she came to, she's originally a lawyer in Canada, and then she moved with me to England, and after a while I was like, well, we might be here for a long time, you should take the bar. And so she took the bar in England. And then as soon as she took the bar, we moved to New York. And so she now took the bar in Massachusetts as well. And she's done the New York bar just recently. So that's actually 4. But is it in England, you have to pass your law exams, obviously. And then you go and work for a barrister, for a lawyer for a year. And then you have to take that as a practical exam. Is that similar sort of thing you have to do in Germany?
We have a state exam. One is a presentation of sorts where you present a thesis where you get an hour time to prepare for, and then you have to defend it in front of some of your teachers. And then there's a theoretical part, writing exams and stuff. But we are required to have at least 6 weeks prior to that 2 times. One in the private sector and one in the state, for example, at a city council or at a court.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's so amazing.
And after we finish that, we have to practice for 2 years. But our education is generally directed to become prosecutor or a judge. But we can also go into the private sector, so that's not a restriction. But our education pushes us more in the
state
direction of yes.
And that's a good thing. What is your have you? I know you wanted to be a lawyer since you were a very, very small person. But have you decided what kind of law you would like to do most?
No, I don't have. I'm not quite sure. There's so many fields I could practice in, and I haven't had the chance to study all of them because I'm only started my 5th semester this year, and it's generally about 12 to 15 semesters till you finish. So I have quite a bit ahead of me.
How exciting! How wonderful! Well, congratulations for getting into this school and for doing the thing you've always dreamed of doing, because you had to qualify.
Yes, I think Mel has. I don't know if it worked. Some pictures I've drawn. I wanted to show you.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yeah, those are fairly recent ones.
That's beautiful.
I was thinking about studying art for some time, but I thought, no, I stick to law.
Wow. Well, you could change if you wanted to. That's amazing. Gorgeous. Yeah. And what's the inspiration for this piece?
A cosplay from a friend of mine, actually.
Really?
It's a portrait of her. I mostly draw portraits because I find people's faces very interesting. I like to draw people with an interesting face or very expressive eyes, for example. I do some sketches before I start something like this. I maybe start over 3 times because something doesn't fit right, or yeah.
Wow, you are incredibly talented at it, because a lot of people would argue the face is the hardest thing, because obviously it has so much texture, so much character in it. And you've done a lovely job. And we've even got an expression on her face that gives you a sense of what she's feeling. It's really beautiful.
Oh, that's really nice to hear.
Yeah, you deserve it. Oh, there's 7 of 9 or 7
yeah,
of 9?
That one.
Yes.
Yeah, 7 of 9 from Voyager. That one was actually meant as a present to Jerry Ryan, the actress, but the convention I wanted to give it to her was postponed to next year. So, yeah.
Oh, well, she's a lovely person, Jerry Ryan. So I'm sure she'll be very grateful.
Yeah, I got the idea because she watched me on Instagram draw it.
Oh, you gotta laugh, it's very funny. Whenever I see me, it's horrifying to me. Yeah, but thank you very much. It's very good. You've got an expression, a facial expression that is so good. You've actually got a thought behind the face, which is amazing.
I think the picture I used was from the first season, where Vijay was more like the innocent guy and stuff, and I think that worked out quite well. Considering I drew this today in like 6 hours, it's gotten quite good.
You drew it today?
Yes.
So you were like, oh my goodness, I have to talk to Sid. And I'm showing him pictures, and I have to do one of him, otherwise he'll be really offended.
No. The sketches I started weeks ago, but I started drawing this today. This is like the 3rd connotation of this one. The others I tried before weren't really good, so they landed.
It is very beautiful. You've done an incredible job. It's incredibly difficult to do what you're doing. You really do have a choice of careers.
Yeah, I thought I'd share this with you because I saw how you admire other artists in the community, and I thought you might like seeing some of my work.
We have so many talented artists here, don't we? It's kind of amazing. And writer, I mean, you name it, from across the board, all the different creative expressions are here, hanging out, and everybody's just wonderful at it. That's amazing. That's really great. So that's how you relax. That's your recreation.
Yes, and I do dancing, so that was really difficult for me during the quarantine because I couldn't do sports, and I'm used to doing a lot of sport, and that wasn't possible. So drawing was my only escape from studying, like from morning to the evening.
Yeah. What kind of dance do you like to do?
It's carnivalistic guarded dance. It's kind of that's practiced during the German carnival. We actually have our first performance on Saturday, so we were able to start practicing again, like I think 9 weeks ago, and we had to learn a whole dance in 9 weeks. It was kind of crap.
Oh my goodness! And how many people are in the dance with you?
I think at the moment in my group we are 30 people, but we also have groups with younger girls, for example. The youngest must be 4 or 5 now. She started when she was 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you dance as in pairs, or do you have a group choreography?
It's a group. It's a kind of formation dance with acrobatics, and it's maybe similar to cheerleading, but not quite. Okay,
but I understand what you mean in terms of it requires some acrobatics, some gymnastics.
Yeah, like splits, cartwheels, and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! What do you think of the video I showed? The little girl dancing? Wasn't she amazing?
Maddie Ziegler, she's a great dancer, so expressive with her eyes and face.
She's so expressive, and her whole body. Yeah, she just is so honest. I just loved it. She took my breath away for such a little teeny girl. It was amazing.
I quite like watching her dance. It's like It's
Me
really
too.
great.
Very moving. Yeah, I often don't. I often have a block with dance. My sister-in-law is a wonderful dancer, a ballet dancer at the Royal Opera House. She's been on here and said hello once or twice when she's had time last year. But she's a ballet dancer with the Royal Opera, so the finest ballet probably in the UK. And I go to see some of the dances, and I have a kind of mental block with classical ballet, Tchaikovsky and stuff. I just don't understand the language, and so I find that it competes with the music for me. So I'm either listening to the music or watching the dance, and I find it difficult to put the two together. But when I see some dancers like this young girl dancing, I completely understand. I'm moved in a way I should be moved, and which is ironic because she's only been dancing for more than 3 or 4 years. She's only a little girl. Have you always loved dance? Have you always wanted to? Has that been a big part of your life?
No, I'm doing it for about 10 years now. Before that, I was a competitive swimmer until we had like training 5 times a week. And I couldn't keep up my studies in school and practice, so I stopped. And a friend of my grandmother saw how flexible I was, and her grandchild was dancing in a garden in Germany, so I started there and then moved, and yeah, that's kind of how it happened.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. And do you live with your family or do you live alone? What's your situation? Because you've got to go to school.
Yeah, I still live at home because it's just way cheaper. I couldn't work the hours I would need to move out. So I'm still living with my parents, but I have 2 rooms of my own because I'm an only child, and yeah, that's kind of nice. And we have a flat on top of the house, and there lives my grandmother. So
how wonderful!
It's very nice to have a family around.
The whole family's there. That's so great.
Yeah, especially during COVID, I always knew they were safe because they were around.
What part of Germany? I don't know Germany very well, but people here might know quite well. What area in Germany do you live in?
North Rhine-Westphalia. I live in Oberhausen. That's kind of an hour away from Cologne, Düsseldorf, and Dortmund. I kind of live in the middle.
Yes, it does. You can go to all those different places. They do a lot of conventions in Cologne, and so I can't remember the last one I did. I know it was somewhere in Germany, but I don't know where it was.
It was
I think it might
probably Dortmund, the destination Star Trek.
It was
because
Dortmund.
I saw you there.
Ah, that was the one. That was the one. I hope I was well behaved.
Yes. You were all very nice. You took your time, and that's nothing that happens very often at conventions, and that was a really great experience to have that.
Good. Well, listen, I thank you for sharing all this with us. I know we haven't talked much before, and so I'm really happy to make contact with you. We can do this again. I'm sure there's lots more we'd like to find out. Certainly I could.
Thank you.
Anya. Thank you so much.
It was wonderful talking to you.
Right back at you.
Thanks, Anya. All right, next we're gonna chat with Apollo, and this is their first time, I believe.
Hello.
Apollo, lovely to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Where are you?
I'm in the windiest city in the world, Wellington.
Oh my goodness, you're a New Zealander.
Yeah.
How fantastic. Is it famous for being windy?
Yes.
Am I seeing sea, water, or an ocean, or a lake, or a pond?
No, those are roofs and supermarkets.
Okay, I'm seeing green, flat green area, low down.
Yeah, that's the countdown.
That's okay, fine. Okay, yeah, just blew my bubble. Not so romantic, but still cool. Still very cool.
He's off that way and that way. Not in my view. I can see the airport.
Well, I do love. Everybody loves New Zealand, but I have fond memories of this. I know you live there, so it's like meh. But
no,
you love it too.
I'm not from Wellington originally, so it's still. I've been here for 5 years, and I'm still amazed every day when I see my views.
Where do you come from? Where do you hop from?
Oh, Auckland, so further up the country,
okay.
But very different type of city. So it's
I've been to Auckland because you kind of land there coming in from Los Angeles, I believe. Yeah, it's really cool. It's really nice. But all of New Zealand's really cool, really nice.
I mean, Wellington's the best city here, and that's, as someone that's lived in a couple now, can absolutely say that.
How are you doing with the whole COVID thing? Because that you have such a different experience of this pandemic
Yeah,
than most every other country in the world.
It's pretty wild. My family in Auckland's all in lockdown at the moment. And all the cases are currently pretty much just up there. We haven't had a case in Wellington for months. We had a few nearby, but they trickled out. They were put in quarantine.
Right.
It's hit a bit of a weird point where people aren't following lockdown rules in Auckland, so they're having to change the rules. Right. So what worked for us initially is now not working, but because of the vaccine rates, it will hopefully work. So we have hit a place where I think 80% vaccinated in Auckland, which is awesome. And we get with the rest of the country. Yeah, for a country that got vaccines pretty late in the game due to us not having it.
The same as here in Australia. Australia started late, so late that everyone was really worried it wouldn't happen at all. And boom.
Yeah.
In 3 months, they got the whole place vaccinated.
Yeah. There's the exceptions. We've had a few lockdown and mask and vaccine protests, but it's the few and far between.
You're always going to get some.
It's the loud minority.
Exactly. Absolutely. And what do you do for fun? What do you do? What is your thing that you love?
I'm a musician. So typically I work retail. But yeah, I'm a musician in my free time and a writer. So I have things that I do. But
that's fantastic. And are you a musician, a composer? Do you play?
I'm a singer-songwriter, so I'm a guitarist, but I can't play much due to RSI, and play a bit of every instrument I can get my hands on, but I'm mostly a singer.
Fantastic. Like Prince, you play it as much as you possibly can.
I'm not good at them all. I can possibly play a few of them.
That's fine. That means you can write. That means you can hear it, and you can write it down. And that's what you do. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. I do my best.
That's really cool. What is RSI? This is an acronym I'm not familiar with.
Repetitive strain.
It is repetitive strain.
Yeah.
And that's because of repeating chords?
Yeah, guitar. I taught myself, so I have very, very bad way of playing that absolutely screwed my hand. So I've
Can you change that?
Myself.
Can you find a way to play it that doesn't screw up your hand? So
yeah,
that is
there
your
are
next
ways
job.
But it's not fantastic, and I have to be very, very careful, and I don't play as much. So I can play smaller instruments. I've got a smaller guitar now, which does the trick. I've got a ukulele that doesn't sound right for my style of music, but I give her a go.
What is that, like thrash metal?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Just screamo.
With a ukulele?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly would be amazed with that. I do have a pickup on my ukulele, so it could go through a speaker, put on heavy distortion.
I'm the man out of hell! Yeah.
But I'm mostly one of those typical indie sort of like alternative styles that I
love that. That's my favorite kind of music, by the way. That whole typical indie alternative styles.
Yeah, I got brought up on it. My dad's an alt rock fan, so it's in my bones, and he's a guitarist, so I basically just lived and breathed it through him. So
are they great? Is there music that has come out of the whole COVID scene in New Zealand? Not that there's been much of a COVID scene.
So
he says with spitting with envy.
I mean, Lord, our most famous musician, just released a new album. And I live in a city that's just full of musicians. So Wellington City is super, super tiny, the actual city, and then it's huge outside that. And we, inside the city, we just have so many venues and bars. And a friend of mine and I, after lockdown last year, we spent quite a lot of it working together on some music, and then actually got out and started performing again, which was awesome. And actually having someone to write music with instead of just doing it all by myself was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But,
what do you find you write about? What do you find you always come back to the same thing, even if you try and diverge?
I'm very much driven by religious trauma, that sort of iconic ex kind of Christian got fired for being queer, and then went
There's
on
a
to about that.
that is a common refrain in this particular social club.
Yeah, so I always end up back to that, and it's sort of like, especially when I was writing, when I first got let go being a youth group leader, I kind of was dealing with whether or not I believed in God and all that sort of stuff, and going through whether or not I wanted to keep following this or what my spirituality was, and meeting friends, learning new religions, doing a lot of research, and a lot of music came out of that, definitely.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
how do you feel now? Where do you feel you are? Not necessarily privately, but just in yourself. How do you feel?
I'm
okay?
I mean, I'm a spiritual person, but I'm not a Christian. I definitely, I respect people's beliefs because I understand how faith works, and I understand the absolute comfort that it provides for people that have that sort of faith. But I personally, I think I believe in something, but what it is,
it's an interesting question, isn't it? It's an interesting philosophical question when you think about, let's assume from that the patriarchal God exists, the dude with the grey beard, and that he's up in heaven and he's waiting behind the gates that Peter is tending.
Yes.
Do you reckon that if someone who had lived a pretty immaculate life, I mean, a life of generosity and love, and basically being good to everybody they met, but never heard of God, never read a Bible, never noticed, but had still lived the Christian ideal, do you think he would be turned away? She'd be turned away, they'd be turned away? Because that's really what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I want to believe in a God that would turn someone like that away. I don't think I could do it. Yeah,
that's what's interesting to me. I mean, someone like yourself cannot be wrong as long as you try to do the best job you can.
You just become a yes man and be like, yeah, and then you're always right, and it's a really comforting place to be.
Yeah, it is, absolutely.
And up to the big squid God that exists, and I'll be like, hey, I guess you're in the list of things that could have been there.
So do you have a bunch of friends that you've found in a group that you love? Obviously you really enjoy arriving in Wellington, and that must be a social as well as a geographic thing.
Yeah, I mean, I live in a flat with three other people who I get along with really, really well. One of them got really into baking last week, so I've been with baked goods, which has been
nothing
iconic.
wrong with that. Absolutely.
Yeah, and my boyfriend I met in Wellington, who is a DM for Dungeons and Dragons and is the most creative person I've ever met, and we've been dating for like 4 years now, and
that's great.
It feels like it's been like 3 weeks, but also been like 50 years. So it's, we kind of hit straight into old couple pretty early on due to his health, and we've just kind of stayed in that comfortable zone.
I love that. I love it. You know what I really love, and it took me quite a while to get to this point, because I was flitting around with various, I guess, personas, identities, up until I was like 40, forever and ever and ever, where I would put on my best face to meet someone, but that wasn't necessarily my face. It was just the one I thought they'd like most. And until I met my wife, Shana. She likes being called my wife, by the way, so that's kind of why I always refer to her that way. But until I met Shana, I just never felt that I was really free to be myself. And that's the biggest gift you can give to a partner. It's just like, just do exactly what you want to do, and let's see how we do with that. Because at least I know what I'm getting.
Yeah, I do the same thing. One of the reasons I had to give up acting was that it absolutely I destroyed who I was, and I wasn't ever me. I was always ready to put someone on, and it was incredibly terrible for my mental health. And when I was with Ollie for about 3 years, I wasn't out to him as non-binary, and it was killing me every day because he's this straight cis guy, and I was like, I can't, he won't get it. And I finally, 3 years in, actually did it, came out, and it was turbulent for a few weeks there, but it's now been another year and we're sweet. So it's like,
congratulations, that's a real achievement. That's a big deal.
I mean, for him, he had a girlfriend for 3 years and was kind of like, oh yeah, this works, this is nice. And then suddenly didn't have a girlfriend and had something else and couldn't really wrap his head around.
Courageous. That's a pretty brave, ballsy thing to do, because he's not dating a stereotype. You know? It was real tough on him, and I really appreciate the amount of like work he went into research and stuff, because he doesn't know a lot about it, and he ended up kind of going into it and talking to quite a few of our mutual friends. Wow.
And finally, like, kind of figured out that I'm still the same person that I was.
I'm going to ask a mildly personal question. I say mildly because you can easily deflect it. But when you came out to him, did it come out through tension, or did you come out through a kind play? How did the dam break?
So we only went into lockdown for about 6 weeks in New Zealand, at least in Wellington, in March of last year. I had never been good at being alone in my head. Half my flat was at home. One of them was a teacher. I had to use the lounge for teaching his kids, because the last thing he wanted was to give his 12-year-old ammunition into his bedroom space. Hello. And so I was stuck in my room doing some meetings, but essentially just in a very, very small room. Not even this one. I was in a different one, and I was only stuck in my head for about that 6 weeks. And I tried to do everything to distract myself. I was playing a lot of like Animal Crossing had just come out. So I was like, I'm just going to play games. It'll be fine. I won't think for myself. And then I hit a point where I was like, I have to do it. And I got my whiteboard out that night. I wrote down all the names that I'd ever considered, other than the one I'd been going as for 25 years. And
your given name.
Yeah. And I sat down with my flatmates and I was like, all right, we're going to put this to a vote because I don't know. I messaged Oliver and I was like, hey, just letting you know I'm about to do this and I'm just pulling off the Band-Aid. I'm telling you because I'm about to tell everybody. Right. And I basically did it as a big, like, cross Instagram, Facebook, all that sort of thing at once. At about 11 o'clock at night, I texted my parents to be like, oh, by the way, I go by Polly now, Apollo I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. I turned my phone off and didn't look at it until the next morning because I was like, oh my God, what have I done? I'm no longer their daughter. Oh my God. And they both went, I had a text from my dad that had a screenshot of my name changed in his phone and being like, so lovely. And my mum basically being like, I'm so sorry if you ever thought that you couldn't be yourself. And like this big long text about how much she loved me. And it was the most gorgeous thing. And I just had nothing but support from everyone. And it was very, very lovely.
You are the luckiest person alive.
Well, at 25 coming out as non-bite, my parents had to deal with me coming out as pansexual when I was 15, and that didn't go over well.
So you've been around the block with them.
We've been working through it, but I don't live with them, so they don't have to deal with me. Yeah, they're just super, super cool about it. My mum really struggles with the pronouns. She's an English major and
it isn't easy.
Couldn't quite grasp it then, despite the fact that I gave her so many examples of how it does actually work. She was like, make up your own pronouns. And I was like, people do, but I don't want them.
For the old fellas like it is tough for us, you know. It just get our head around this. It's only geography. It's only like it's just verbal geography. It's not. There's nothing associated with it. It's just like just forget to say the right actual word.
Yeah,
but the feeling is right.
I think the thing that calmed it down was I was like, I misgender myself constantly because I have been considering myself one gender for this many years. It didn't change overnight and it's not going to have changed overnight. It's a process and it's just something that I feel comfortable with now. And so, yeah, it's pretty cool to have got there, but
I love that your mutual generosity with each other. I love your forgiving the slow tardiness of some of your mom understanding how to get all the terminology correct. I can't be anything but forgiving when it comes to my family. They're the most lovely people alive. Are they in Wellington too, or are they?
No, they're all in Auckland. They've been in lockdown for quite a long time now.
You did say that at the beginning. You did say that.
Yeah, they're all good. And I tentatively booked flights to see them for Christmas. I am very, very scared because I've never missed a Christmas with them, and I'm not planning on starting now. Some of the things, I'm getting my second vaccine in the next week, so I'm excited for that.
Well, once that's your passport.
My head office for work is in Melbourne, and I think they just had a meeting with my manager today about what it's going to look like for us in New Zealand, and especially around staff vaccination rates. Yeah, and I mean, we're constantly having to tell people to put their masks on in store, which is a nightmare, because people are like, "But we don't have COVID here," and it's like, yeah, but it's in Auckland. This is the law that has been set by the government. And if you can just wear your mask and not under your like chin or like on your forehead. We have a little diagram now by our QR code to scan that has a not like this, not like that. Yes.
The fact that we all share it all over the world, and we all know what we're talking about.
Yes.
Is there a place you get to share your music?
I used to do more shows and stuff, but my co-band person is a teacher, and it's very hard in this time to be a teacher, and so she's pretty having to deal with that at the moment. So we haven't done any music stuff in a while, and I had to change all my work days, so we just haven't been able to align. But
are you still writing?
Music, not so much. I signed up for National Writing Month for November to finally write my novel that I've been trying to write for 10 years.
Wow.
Nice. We'll get there.
What do you have a genre that you like?
Of music or
writing?
books?
Writing. I know
writing.
you like your indie, post grunge.
Yeah, I'm definitely things that aren't real in any way possible to try and get out of whatever's going on in the actual world. I am an escapist in.
What are you watching that's escapist right now? If anything.
I've been watching, I'm up to Voyager and my Star Trek watch, so I'm
okay.
through that.
You have a few hours ahead of you. Yeah, you've got some
work. Yeah. And I'm always a fan of just rewatching comfort movies, and there's a lot of just rewatching stuff at the moment in this hard, turbulent time, as people say.
Yeah. I'm getting through. I also like the escapist stuff. I also like lots of genre stuff. But and I'm getting through a show called Shadow and Bone, and it's for young adults. I would say is the target audience.
Is that one based off a book? Maybe?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good. It's really well written. It's really modern in terms of politics, in terms of what's acceptable on screen. So it's very progressive. I would recommend it.
Everything that comes out, my partner, because he doesn't sleep due to health problems, and so he's always. I'll be like, "Oh, have you seen this?" And he will have seen the entire show. I've just finished, and I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's this show. It's called Deep Space Nine. It's this, I don't know. It's a sci-fi. It's kind of rubbish.
I heard about it, and it's not good. It's not.
Yeah, I tried to, it was 7 seasons or something, and it felt like a movie afterwards. And they just
the acting sucks.
Oh God, yeah, it was all just painful. Yeah. Yeah, no, I actually got through because we had a tiny lockdown a couple of months ago, and my flatmates, who were all very out of the loop of the Star Trek game, and I grew up on the original series, so I was like, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna watch some Star Trek. I think we did the whole original series. I meanwhile was binging DS9 to get through, because I'm trying to catch up, and we're slowly getting there. And my parents were always Next Gen fans as well, so I was.
Oh yeah, never the twain shall meet. Next Gen fans, Deep Space Nine fans, very hard to commingle.
I've tried to give my parents some episodes, and they're like, "Yeah, it's just so depressing," and I'm like, "Tough." Whatever. Did you ever see The Orville when that came out?
I saw a bit of it. I did. Yeah. And friends of mine love it. Yeah. I saw just the first couple of episodes. Well, I've got that to look forward to. I've got that. I know that I've got that to look forward to.
Yeah, it turned out to be really, really fun, and actually, it hit some emotional places that I wasn't expecting them to get to, and it turned into really understanding that that famous Roddenberry vision that people talk about, and it managed to hit that while also being modern.
I will give that another shot. Is that on Netflix too? Is that on Netflix
No,
too?
it was, I think it was Disney Plus. I don't know.
Okay, something different.
We only have a few of them in New Zealand, and some of them stay.
Of course, you're in New Zealand. It's a wonder you have television at all.
I mean, absolutely.
Jeez,
yeah,
I so far
had to
away.
hook up to be
Do
here.
wires reach that far?
Yeah, there's a few like sticks that I had to put up in certain areas to be able to get the connection going for this. It was a bit rough.
Well, Apollo, you effing rock, as they say in your business. It's been fantastic to meet you properly.
Yeah, you too.
And thank you very, very much for coming and brightening our day.
All right, we are ready to wrap it up for tonight. Thanks to everybody for joining us.
Yeah, everyone was lovely. Thank you.
Yes, so many creative people here. Our next meeting will not be on the third Friday, but on the second Friday. It will be November the 12th. Because we're doing another hybrid meeting. Yeah, so it's got to check a schedule. We're doing another hybrid meeting. Destination Star Trek London is happening that weekend. So we will be meeting at our usual time. And those who are in London can stop by and join everybody in person. So Rob Moriarty and Colin Kerrigan are the two organizing everything. Also, we have a panel happening at Destination Star Trek London on the Saturday morning. It's about the social club and how it impacted people during the pandemic and the community that we've built here. So if you happen to be in London on the 13th and the 12th, November 12th and 13th, we've got social club stuff happening. We'll see you. I hope we'll see you on the 12th for the hybrid meeting. It should be a lot of fun. We'll see everybody next time.
See you Sunday. Bye.
Have a good evening, day, night, whatever, wherever you are.